Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a long awaited, anticipated, I guess you could say, episode of the Sports Department Podcast. Stephen Bologna and Jesse Norman here for our favorite time of the year. It is NFL mock draft time. The NFL draft, it is currently April 1st. So happy April Fool's Day, Jesse, and happy Easter. We are 24 days away from the
It
NFL
always
draft.
it always confuses me when Easter is in March.
Yeah, I know.
I thought Easter was an April holiday, but then I found out that it moves around
Always.
and it messes me up. It throws off my timeline.
Yeah. So NFL draft right around the corner. I mean, things are picking up steam. We've already had a first round trade. Minnesota moved up to get a
That's
second.
speculating into a further trade.
Yep. They moved up to get another first round pick to get number 23 from Houston. Um, Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty past the number one pick, which is going to make things fun for the next couple weeks. Free agency is pretty much done. I mean, a couple big names still left, but you know,
I would assume they're not even going to sign till after the draft.
yeah, they would have signed by now. But nevertheless, we're ready to get going here. We're going to do a mock draft here, full 32 teams with trades potentially, if either of us have any. I will be picking for the evens, and Jesse will be picking for the odds. Jesse, you have your big board prepared. Before we start, is there any guy that's your guy that you really, really love in this draft?
A guy I really like that I don't think is being supremely underrated, but in a position that I think is gaining a lot of traction in the league. Byron Murphy the second, that
Okay.
interior defensive line.
Yeah.
I think where we are trending in the NFL, where we have so many elite quarterbacks, and those elite quarterbacks are on another level. The easiest, quickest, best way to get to them is that interior pressure. Yes, having an edge rusher is absolutely so important, but everybody already knows that. I feel like the really good teams moving forward have that interior rush as well.
Yeah.
And Byron Murphy, I think, is a player that is going to adapt in the NFL. And he can play all three downs as a run stopper, pass rusher, and he's also that interior player.
I love it. He's getting a lot of hype as well post combine. For me, Quinyon Mitchell, he's going to
Mm,
be a dog. And there
hmm
was a lot of questions last year with Witherspoon. He came in,
hmm
CB3, CB4, had a great.
Shot
Okay.
up the boards.
I was hoping the dogs would stop barking, but of course they do. Basically, Witherspoon came in, CB3, CB4, had a fantastic combine, had a great senior bowl, and Quinyon Mitchell kind of followed that. So I'm real he's shot himself easily into a top 15 pick. And there's obviously questions with the conference. He played at Toledo, but
Yeah, I was gonna say the thing is it's the schedule of play is the issue. Um, he has great tape over the past 2 years. It's not just a oh he had a great combine, he interviewed well. He has good tape, and
yeah,
I have him listed as my defensive back one up there with Cooper DeJean, who I just have them listed the same as they're stylistically different. I think Cooper can fit into so many different roles as a big
yeah,
hitter, safety, nickel corner. Quinion Mitchell, I think you can slot him in as your outside corner and leave that spot alone for multiple years because I think he's also coming in a lot like Weatherspoon, more polished than
yeah,
other corners came in.
yeah. I agree. I mean, worked out for Witherspoon. He went tops. I mean, he went fifth, and
Yeah,
he had an
defensive
incredible
player
rookie
of the
year.
year, or defensive rookie of the
Yeah,
year. Like
good season there. But let's kick it off. I mean, like we said, there's not a lot of confusion. The Bears did trade Justin Fields, so that speculation is now over. Fields will not be remaining in Chicago. He goes to your Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know you're very excited about that.
I am very excited about that.
So the Fields era is over in Chicago. Just after this was year three, they traded up to get him at the time. Didn't work out, but it's very obvious who they're going to be picking.
Oh, 1,000,000%. You have to go Caleb Williams here. Um, the pendulum has swung way too much the other way on Caleb Williams. This is a top six all time quarterback prospect over the last 20 to 30 years. He came in with all this hype. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they made a really funny joke of, no, don't be good your sophomore year in college because then they have another full 2 years to just scrutinize you
Yes. Yep.
constantly.
Absolutely.
So that was a Drake May line as well of just
Yep.
don't pop immediately. And with the Caleb stuff, it's trending into the weird now with like the pink and the nails and
Yeah.
the other stuff. As far as just the game is concerned, my comp for him, I don't love comps, but when I like see them and they jump off, I see Caleb as a bigger, taller, stronger, less running Kyler Murray. Some people might think that that's a little disrespectful when I say that Caleb is a top six, prospect of
Yeah.
all time. But Kyler, if he stays healthy and had that bigger body and was, that player 15 weeks out of the season that he is 8 weeks out of the season, Kyler Murray would be an MVP candidate. He would
Yeah.
be an all pro candidate. We see him start the year, usually when healthy, and he looks good, and then his body starts to break down and everything. Um, Caleb, I think, has the potential to be in that top eight, top 10 category. And the arm talent is off the charts. You
Unreal.
can you can question whatever you want, I guess, but as far as arm talent, I like when he flicks the ball, it's Aaron Rodgers esque, it's Patrick Mahomes esque, where he can just launch it. He's just flicking it and it goes 40 yards at the drop of a dime.
Yeah. And that on top of the very good scrambling ability. I mean, like you said, this guy's a unicorn. I mean, we talked about this trying to compare, the past QB1 prospects, and I think it's fair to say he would have went first over Bryce. Obviously,
Yes.
Pickett was the first quarterback taken. That's a no-brainer.
First discussion is Burrow. I would as
Burrow, I
Burrow
would agree.
Lawrence, but Burrow Lawrence is the same. Like we had the discussions between Burrow and Lawrence, like who would have gone first between those guys.
Yeah,
Um, and now you have the hindsight of the league and everything. But at the time, I think Caleb goes before both of those guys
yeah,
because as much as everybody loved Lawrence as a generational prospect of a winner and everything, he was still a little raw with his accuracy, especially short to medium.
and I mean, during that draft process, people were questioning Fields over Lawrence. Like
Yes, some
people
people,
wanted to
yeah,
say Fields should have went over Lawrence. So
yeah.
it's such a crapshoot. But Caleb is one of those guys that clearly teams fought over. I'm sure the Bears took so many draft calls for number one, but if you're Chicago, you can't pass up. I know he didn't work out, but we're not yet, at least. Bryce Young, a Heisman winner. You can't pass that up. And you're not going to be able to pass up Caleb as well. So it just makes too much sense. The Fields era didn't work out. It's just what it is. New GM, because I don't believe Poles drafted uh Fields, right? I don't believe
To
so.
be honest, I can't even remember, but I will say they've done more for Caleb already than they ever did for Fields. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that as a I want to rewrite the history because I'm a Steelers person or anything. I mean, let's be real. Justin Fields had DJ Moore as his wide receiver this year, but before that, his wide receiver one is Darnell Mooney.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
the Bears, for their credit, what Caleb is stepping into is a really solid situation.
Yeah.
And then I got another pick at 9.
Yeah. Great point. Bears are also picking number nine. They spent big money on DeAndre Swift. They traded for Keenan Allen.
I actually hate that move, but the Keenan Allen move is great.
Yes. This is a team they went, what, 7-10 last year
I want to say
with Fields. I mean, if Caleb works out, I mean, this
you're
could be
looking
big.
you're looking at a potential playoff team. I
Yeah.
mean, right? Like the turnaround could be very, very quick, especially with the last place schedule
Yeah. I agree. This could be big, but Caleb Williams, bona fide number one,
where the
guaranteed.
draft starts. Here we go.
Yeah. Washington is picking number two, a season that not many would have expected to happen. I think they started the year with Sam Howell, and I think there was some buzz because it's new quarterback, fifth round pick, the underdog story, and he played okay. Like led
There
led,
were games, there were
yeah,
flashes.
there were some flashes, led the league in interceptions, most of them his fault. But at the end of the day, Washington fired their front office staff, they fired their coaching staff, and ultimately brought in a whole new crop of decision makers. And they were lucky enough to get number two, where they are in a great situation because you have two guys now with Drake May and Jaden Daniels. The Daniels train has really taken off the last couple weeks. I mean, it has erupted. We have analyst Dan Orlovsky saying to take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. I mean, it is incredible how much hype he has been getting, and understandably so, right? He's a Heisman winner, one of the best college seasons we've ever seen last year at LSU. And then you have Drake May from UNC, who is the building block for a quarterback, right? Big size, big arm, solid athleticism, good accuracy. But of course, since this process has started, we've fallen into the UNC quarterbacks don't work out with Trubisky and Sam Howell, right?
Sam Howell.
USC quarterbacks don't work out. Okay. And then no one says anything about LSU quarterbacks. No one says anything.
Well, they
So
have Joe Burrow.
for 1 year, yes, they did have Joe Burrow. And I've seen that comp a lot, right? Jaden Daniels, 3 years at Arizona State was okay. Came to LSU for 2 years, won the Heisman this year. Burrow did this similar with Ohio State, right? Played that fourth and fifth year at LSU. Burrow obviously wins the Heisman and goes number one. So I get the comp, but at the same time, like Daniels is getting so much hype. I mean, he's getting Lamar comps. And the only reason he's getting Lamar comps is because Jaden can run. But
Jaden likes to run. Jaden likes to run a lot.
and take extremely big hits.
Extremely big hits. And he also has a not big frame. He certainly isn't Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I mean, what is he size comparable to Lamar? If we stacked them, I wonder.
Who is this Jaden you said?
Jaden and Lamar, I wonder how they stack up like
Mm,
weight height wise because to like Lamar is
So Jaden 6'4", 210. I don't know.
I like Lamar is just so elusive. Jaden just does not avoid those hits.
Lamar is 6'2".
Interesting.
Yes, but I mean, there is literally a 5-minute compilation on YouTube of just Jaden getting rocked.
Yeah.
You know, but again, this is a good situation for Washington now because
You're getting the second pick of a quarterback in a generational class.
yeah, and you know, like I said before with texting with you, they could have been in a situation that in 2022 where Pickett was your best option, and look what happened to him.
Yep.
So Washington needs to be happy with where they are. And obviously, of course, they're going to do the due diligence on all the quarterbacks. Tom Pelissero reported the other day that he's spoken to people that believe McCarthy is going to be the pick at number two, which would literally destroy the draft. Like it would explode if JJ McCarthy went number two.
If that happens, the Patriots run up, I believe, Drake May.
Yeah, I think.
I think they
Yeah.
run up Drake May.
Now, the thing too now is Denver and Minnesota are really desperate for
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks. So
Yep.
I think if Drake falls past two, they're gonna attempt to get up to see if the Patriots want to move. But it's not it's
How
like
many picks at that point do the Patriots need? If
exactly.
you're going from 12, I would say three first rounders.
And now, like, if Jaden is not the pick at two, do they really move up? Probably not. Like, I doubt it. So, like, to me, what does that say about Drake May's potential? That teams are desperate to move up for May because of his high ceiling. But then, like, if Daniels isn't the pick, the Patriots might pass on him in
Yep.
wall.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, I'm going to take May in this mock. I think the hype is too high. I think the ceiling is too high. He had a good pro day. A lot of people, of course, were focusing on the throws he missed at his pro day, which it's like, okay, everyone misses throws at their pro day, right? Like, it's like, are we really going to take a pro day seriously when we see what happened with Zach Wilson,
Yep.
who launched himself into number two off of one throw, basically? So I don't know. I think with Drake May, you have the ceiling of Allen, Herbert, Stafford-esque,
Hmm.
right?
I
There's
agree.
a lot of people saying the floor is like a bad Carson Wentz. But again,
Oh,
all
I
yeah,
disagree there. A bad Carson Wentz. Well, Carson Wentz was bad
yeah,
at the end. So
yeah,
like if we're going, I don't see a bad Carson Wentz. I think he could be. I see the gunslinger aspect of the Wentz,
yeah.
but for me the ceiling on Drake May is where you put it at that Herbert. To me, it's that it is Stafford in his prime. Like that is what I see May as is that capability of a player. Um,
And he's athletic too.
yes, he
Not as athletic as
absolutely is.
Daniels, but he's athletic.
No, but he is very athletic. No, for me, it isn't a competition between May and Daniels. Like it really is not.
I
I
agree.
have May significantly higher on my board, and I have him a lot closer to Caleb than I have him closer to Jaden Daniels.
I agree. So for me, I'm gonna go with Drake May at number two. I think Washington will be very happy with their choice. But either way, they're that's where the draft's going to begin with Washington. I mean, again, the media is telling us Daniels over May. Washington could have their eyes set on May as we speak. We don't know. We're Daniels. So that's where the draft begins. But Caleb goes one, Drake goes two, as we all expected. Now, three with the Patriots gets interesting.
This is absolutely where it gets interesting because they realistically the three top players on the board uh, are all positions of need for them.
Yeah.
They also could reach for the quarterback and get Daniels, go three QBs right down the line, which I think is a good chance it happens. I don't know if the Patriots love Daniels. I can't get a read on that. I don't know if they necessarily would love like I think they want to trade back, but realistically to trade back they want a ton.
Yeah.
Um and I'm just really trying to figure out where the fit is here for that team and where they're gonna want to go. Because right now, like QB is Bailey Zappi.
Yep. Oh,
That's
Brissett, technically. They did sign Brissett,
Brissett. That's
who I would
you
assume
could
could win that
you
back.
could you could start Brissett. You could start Brissett. Um, they I think they're gonna go. I think they're really gonna try for the trade back, but
Okay.
otherwise, you go Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay.
And I think we'll go Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's a little. I don't know if any team's going to give up a premium on Daniels for that extra first round pick at
I agree.
three. Versus if you do it at five, I think Hardball and them get a little bit less because of the receivers being off the board as well.
Yeah. I agree. Gerard Mayo is the new head coach in New England. Um, I think the Marvin Harrison Jr. pick works perfect. I think if May is gone, I think it's Marvin or trade back personally. They
I also don't know if that team isn't set up, I think, for a first round quarterback to come in and succeed.
yeah,
Barring maybe you get Marvin Harrison Jr. top of the second round if he's there, maybe you grab Michael Penix. I don't hate that. I don't, but just top three, that is a if you go Jaden Daniels, he busts 2, 3 years, like you are just restarting all
yeah.
over again.
And another thing that we kind of talk about with both Washington and New England, they're clearly not win now teams. So you can
No, no.
invest in a younger quarterback. May's 21 still, probably gonna be 22 by the time of the season. Daniel's gonna be 24 by the time the season starts. So now you're talking 29 when
Mm-hmm.
the extension would kick in.
Yep.
It's little things, but it can make a big difference. You
Mm-hmm.
know, maybe Daniels reached his peak, right? He's gonna be 24 years old. Probably not, but you never know. So
Let's. I mean, the other thing could happen too. Let's say he has a really good rookie year, gets hurt the next 2 years. You
yeah,
haven't really seen him. You need to make a call on his fifth year option. He's about to be 29.
yeah,
I mean, that was a big thing with the Bears and Fields. It felt like was well, we don't know if we can pick up his fifth year option because we've seen flashes, but also we just don't know. And now we're running out of time because the contract's up and we need to restart the clock on the contract.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. So New England takes Marvin Harrison Jr., who, again, are you buying into the neighbors over MHJ hype?
I can see it in scheme fits. Absolutely. I think if you need a slot guy, particularly, Neighbors is definitively your guy. If you need an X receiver who you can move around, I see Marvin Harrison. I think they are both studs. They share my number one spot on the big board.
Love it. Um, so Arizona at 4. I mean, this is prime trade back category territory. I don't think one trades up here just because Daniels is on the board, right? I think it would make sense with the Chargers, but I think, you know, Broncos or Vikings realistically could jump um, the Giants here for Daniels, or do you stick it out and hope McCarthy falls to you? Because
Here,
Minnesota is over Denver. I will say that at
yes,
11 and
yeah.
12.
hmm
Um,
my thing for Arizona here is if I'm trading back, I would not want to trade back. Like if I'm trading, my ideal candidate to trade with is the Giants.
yes. Yeah.
I don't want to fall past if I go all the way back to Denver's pick. I am not getting Neighbors. I'm not getting a Dunzier.
Yeah.
That is where the line draws for me. That like after a Dunzier, this is still a very good receiver class. I'm not saying it's not. It's a very loaded receiver class. There are so many receivers in this class, but the top three for me are definitive of MHJ, Malik Neighbors, Romeo Dunzier. If the Cardinals trade back too far and they lose out on a top three wide receiver prospect, they need to get a lot back
Yeah.
because this is a loaded receiver class and you have two generational talents at the top and then a Dunzier who I think has Pro Bowl potential.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm going to stand pat at 4 and take Neighbors. I think
That's what I
they
think they do.
I think this is going to go down to the literal wire of potentially trades. I think a giant trade up makes sense. I think Minnesota and Denver make sense as well. Again, if Daniels is the pick at 2, this starts a pick before.
Yeah.
Like, so I think, Neighbors very similar physical tools to Jamar Chase, getting a lot of that comp from what I see.
You know who I comp Neighbors to in the NFL, not as a prospect, because I think as prospects they're different. He reminds me, and I think he has the potential to really show an Amon-Ra St. Brown level pop.
Okay. Yeah, I like
Just
that.
like can absolutely like is one of the top five slot receivers and can just take over a drive. And if he stays healthy and is like productive, he is going to put up 90 catches, 1,100 yards
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah, I agree. I think the hype on Neighbors is building. I thought a Zoom call was free for 2 people. That sucks. All right, well, we have 10 minutes, so we can get 2 more picks done. So
Oh, easy.
pick 5, Harbaugh goes to LA, and
This is the trade. This is the trade
okay,
spot.
hit me
The
with it.
Chargers got to go back. They're running out of cap room. They need some more impact picks. I want to say, like, if somebody does it, is it Minnesota or is it Denver?
I think it's
I
Denver.
want to say I would say like Minnesota acquired that second first round pick
That does make sense.
like for that reason. But my other thing is, did they acquire that pick to maybe select a different quarterback that I maybe think fits a little better? So we're gonna go Broncos, trade up with the Chargers.
Love it. What do you got?
They'll go 12, they'll go 76. They'll definitely go a 1 and a 2 next year. And then if they have to fill in I would say probably a 2026 second at least.
Can't go that far, unfortunately.
Well, they would do it. So that
Okay.
it doesn't matter. The what matters is the implication.
Yeah. So a 1 and a
Um,
3 in 24 and a 1
yep,
and a 2 in 25 for pick five.
yep, yep. And they have to do this. We have to jump New York here.
Yeah, no, I agree
Yep,
because
yep,
New York would be all over um probably Daniels, right? I mean,
yeah, yep, yep.
is that who the pick is? Daniels
That
here at five?
I would go Daniels here. Yep.
Yeah, I think it just makes too much sense, right? I think
I
Denver's
think
desperate.
For Denver, you like everything that I said with New England about how like you can't risk it because you don't have much around you. Denver really should just go for it because they have some nice pieces around there. They have a good offensive line
Yeah.
consistently. The receiver room could use a little bit of work, but Cortland Sutton's been good up and down. You know, they've been so up and down in Denver that I feel like giving the offense to Daniels and pairing him with Sean Payton is the much better alternative of Bo Nix, who is
Yeah.
like he is the perfect scheme fit for exactly what Sean Payton would want to do. But I think there's an absolute ceiling on that team if he gets a Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a great first read quarterback. That is what Sean Payton wants. There's a ceiling on how much they're going to win in that division with Bo Nix, you know, as their quarterback versus a Justin Herbert versus a Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, to compete in this division, they're going to need a game changer, and Daniels could be that. Knicks, like you said, feels a little bit more game manager esque. You know, not Knicks is also like 24, going to be 25 around
Yes,
the time the
yes.
season starts.
Nix is the same age. He's been in college just as long and has not shown nearly as much as Daniels.
Yeah, not at all. Okay, so first trade, Denver moves up for Jaden Daniels. Now at six with the Giants. I'm I'm buying into the hype. I think Shane and Dable want their guy. Neighbors is off the board.
Ooh,
I think it's got to be McCarthy. I do.
wow.
I think the NFL has a much higher opinion of McCarthy than the league does,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
than the media does.
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of things with, I mean, the Giants were the first team to meet with McCarthy at his pro day, first team to fly him in for a private visit. I think the hype is real there. You know, he's got the winning mentality, just won a national championship, 15 and 0, perfect season. I don't know. I just think the Daniel Jones era is going to be over at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Jones is going to play a few weeks. So he's probably going to either get hurt or suck so bad that McCarthy's going to have to come in, right? And I think with Marvin gone and Neighbors gone, Odunze's great. I just think at this point, I'd rather a McCarthy over like a Penix or a Bo Nix in the second round, if they're even there.
Yeah. Oh, a
Definitely
million
Penix,
percent.
probably not.
Penix will not be there. I can guarantee you that, especially not
So
in this mock.
yeah. So I think for me, I think McCarthy is the pick. Shane and
Yeah.
Dable get their guy, and a new era in New York football can start.
Oh. Yeah. No, I hear you. My one thing about it is like they have nothing on that offense right now. That is rough,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you gotta hit it gotta hit it later in the draft. I wasn't a Daniel Jones fan when he came out. I good that they're fixing it. We
yeah,
got time for me
yeah,
to run
yeah.
in a Joe
Five
Alt pick.
minutes we have.
Oh, we got time. Garfield, stop chewing my charger. Uh,
Titans, Tennessee.
this is such an easy pick for me. I'm going Joe Alt here. This is a perfect fit for Tennessee. Tennessee, who I think is uh you know, people are gonna laugh at them the way that they laughed at the Jaguars a couple years ago for they signed this guy, they signed this guy, they signed this
Yeah,
guy. Yeah, they got better as a team. Like
made
quite
the
frankly,
playoffs.
like maybe they overpaid some guys a little bit, but like they got better. You throw Joe Alt on the other side of that line. I like that young team. They probably don't make like a playoff push for me. They're probably around that 8 to 9 wins. But then I think they have another strong draft next year. Then you're looking at a potential where that's a good team moving forward. But you hit that spot, you maybe have a franchise tackle. You're really cooking.
I mean, Alt is like incredible.
Yeah,
I think,
he's a great run blocker, great pass blocker. great all around player. I like Fashanu a lot as a ceiling player for how young he is. I would not take him above Alt for the player that Alt is right now.
Yeah, I think Alt has probably separated himself as tackle one. I think that's fair. He's
Yeah,
gotten a lot of hype. Plus, like, he comes from a great school of offensive lineman, right? Like Notre
a
Dame
million
turns
percent,
out
million percent.
incredible lineman. And I think Alt is pretty young too.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's not an older guy.
he's 21. Dude, that's
21. Yep.
wild.
Fashanu is Fashan. The only reason Alt seems a little older is because I think Fashanu is 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's something like that.
Yeah, I just, Alt, I think Alt has the potential to wear the gold jacket one day.
I love it. Nope,
He's
that's
got all the
perfect.
tools. He is so
I,
good.
I think that's perfect.
All right, so 2 minutes and 40 seconds here.
Oh, I can do it. I can do it. I
I
got
got,
this.
so pick eight. I'm going to do Atlanta on the clock. Atlanta gets their quarterback of the future. So that completely wipes out any speculation.
What?
No, no, no.
You're
They,
going?
they got their quarterback of
Oh, I was
sure.
gonna say. I was like, what? You're going QB? They just
Yeah, no.
got Cousins.
I'm looking
Oh,
for Dallas Turner.
that is exactly who I was gonna.
Yep.
That's exactly the pick.
I think
Uh,
Dallas Turner makes too much sense. I think they
that is
need uh,
that's the
uh, uh,
number one defensive player in the draft for me.
yeah, and first one taken off the board for us. So Turner to Atlanta, and then Chicago at 9 with you.
Just as easy. A Dunzier.
Yeah,
Absolutely. If he's still there, you run that up. You now have a core of Keenan Allen and a Dunzier for Caleb Williams
yeah,
and DJ Moore.
yeah. That's
Like
pretty good.
that might already like that would be a top 10 like receiving core if Keenan Allen was still what he was at last year.
Yeah.
That would be really absurd. If he is there at 9, you absolutely take it. Bowers is a prospect that we haven't talked about yet who is really, really, really freaking good. That I mean, he could fit in anywhere, but I wouldn't look at him not like yet because just every team above this has a tight end or doesn't really need it. It's a little too early for a tight end, but I think we're going to be talking about him in just a second.
I agree. So we'll take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll hammer out the rest of the first round. All right, welcome back to the 2024 NFL Mock Draft 1.0 for me and Jazzy. I'm sure we'll do one more or two more before the draft comes. I'm sure we'll have some movement, of course, with free agency and potentially more first round trades. But to pick it up where we left off, Jesse, we were at pick number 10, and the Jets get Aaron Rodgers back this year. They signed Tyron Smith to be their left tackle. They traded back from Morgan Moses, so their offensive line is set. They already had Garrett Wilson, and they signed Mike Williams off free agency after he was cut by the Chargers. So receivers probably not a need at this pick, unless of course one of the big ones fall. They've made some big moves on defense. They just traded for Hassan Reddick. So now like you alluded to, I think Bowers could potentially be a great fit here.
I think this is exactly where it's shaping up for him to go
Yeah.
at the moment. And with all that offensive line help at the same time, with falling to injuries, I'm not saying Bowers can be an offensive lineman, but he is a very good blocking tight end.
Yeah.
So you're not getting a Kyle Pitts out here who like does not block, and is like a slot receiver that you're putting at tight end. This is a big, strong, generational type tight end prospect.
I agree. I mean, you think about the top tight ends that have been taken early. Like you said, Pitch was basically a receiver. It was just kind of unfair. Hawkinson, like he can be better than Hawkinson. I mean, once
Yeah,
Wars gets into the league, after a few games, he's probably a top 10 tight end. That's just how good he
I
is.
would agree. I
That's
would
just how
agree.
good he is.
I think
100%.
usually with the tight ends, you usually see them needing a year to kind of get into the NFL. I think he's going to be a Laporta, like come
Yeah,
in immediately, have 800 plus yards, probably 8 plus touchdowns.
I agree. I think Bowers makes a great fit. It's not necessarily I mean it's probably a need, let's be honest. I mean, they cut Uzama, so Jeremy Ruckert is currently their
Yep,
their tight end one. I mean,
yep,
just keep building up for Rodgers. Like it's Rodgers' team. So build through him and I think there's a good spot for Bowers. I really do.
yeah. Uh,
Minnesota.
looking at Minnesota at 11. Obviously, everybody wants the quarterback. Everybody's looking quarterback. I would not go quarterback at 11 here with everybody being off of the board. If I'm Minnesota and I'm sitting here, I would go just best player available that is left for me. For them, what they would want to do, I would probably go Liatu Latu. They could go corner as well. The thing is the defense needs everything.
They did lose Daniil Hunter.
So
Daniil Hunter's
they
gone.
lost to Neil Hunter. They've lost corners consistently over the years.
Yep.
It feels like uh, their safeties are, Harrison Smith is still the only one
Still
there,
there.
I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah. I just there's so many needs that you could go. It's the hyper fixation on the trade up in the quarterback. If it falls this way in the draft where everybody is getting ahead of them, you just go best player available. You go I for them Liatu Latu. I could also see them go in Fuaga, just because tight end, guard, center, he can literally play all five.
Yeah.
So that would be my other thing, but I think you got to go Latu here.
Love it. So, of course, I mean, the Vikings are probably going to heavily try to trade up if May is on the board past number two on draft night. But you know what? A lot of times draft trades just don't work out. Okay.
If he's there at 3 and the Vikings could get him, ooh,
That would,
I would that and him and an O'Connell offense.
yeah, it would be kind of wild. Okay. So Chargers traded back to 12. So, um, Chargers, I just realized we completely flipped what we were doing. I was evens,
Because
right?
they traded to Denver. Oh wait, yeah, you were
How did I?
even. You're still evens.
Oh yeah, okay. I thought
12
I was
is an
odds
even
for
number.
like a half second. I thought I was odds. I'm like, wait a second. Okay, so the Chargers are on the board, and there's a few ways I'm thinking here. They got rid of Keenan Allen, and they got rid of Mike Williams. So like a receiver is like they're desperate, but at 12, like I feel like Brian Thomas is a bit of a reach. So I feel like a tackle could help.
Hmm.
So I mean, listen, Slater is obviously an all pro. He's on the left. I think Olu is a good fit here.
Hmm.
So that's the route I'm gonna go.
Hmm.
The only issue is gonna be flipping one. I would assume you just flip Olu to the right side just because
Hmm.
Slater has locked it down for so long. But without a top receiver here, like just get more help for Herbert. And this is a deep receiver class, like you said. You can
Yeah.
get you can even go over two receivers with two picks in the second round. So I think tackle's just the way to go. I really do.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna go Olu.
I like that with the development also with Jim Harbaugh there.
Yeah,
I think that's a good fit.
he knows him.
Uh,
Made in his conference.
Yep, number 13 with the Raiders. This is another one. They're looking quarterback. Do they reach for a QB? They've been tied to Jaden Daniels here and there because, Antonio Pierce is close with him.
Yeah,
Uh, this is another team that needs so many things, kind of across the board, especially for me on defense.
yeah,
But that offensive line is also not the strongest.
yeah. No,
This is a guy that I like a lot. Talise Fuaga.
it's huge.
He's For me, he reminds me a ton of uh, Rashawn Slater, where he is a good tackle. He's not undersized, but also if you move him inside, like I think he could be an absolute all pro guard. So for the Raiders, it's like, yeah, if you need a tackle, slide him into tackle. If you need a guard, slide him into guard. You pretty much only have a couple spots set.
Yeah, Wanga's. I mean, he's gotten a lot of hype as well in the past after the combine and the measurables came out. So yeah, I think it's a great fit. I've seen mocked with Thwanga up to like pick 6 of the Giants.
It would be really high.
I think it was Chad Forbes of NFL.
Wow,
Yeah, it was Chad Forbes.
that would be
Um,
very high.
so Fuaga goes to the Raiders. I like that fit. And then the Saints at 14. The Saints are, I mean, who knows at this point? Um, Derek Carr is still a quarterback. They cut Michael Thomas. Yeah, right? Didn't they cut Michael
Yep,
Thomas?
yep, yep.
Jeez, hasn't even been picked up. Um, there's even been some rumors of Lattimore might being on the way out. So that's why I'm going to go corner, but I'm not going to go Quinion Mitchell. I think Terrion Arnold is a little bit better fit for what they want to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not comparing him to Lattimore, but like you're going to want a guy that can just shadow and
Yeah.
take a receiver out of the game.
Yep.
And Arnold has just really taken off the past
Mm-hmm.
throughout this whole process. Um, Byron Murphy is an option here, interior defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I just think corners going to be a need for them, especially if they're in cap hell every year. But if um, they have to get rid of Lattimore. They already lost Adebo, right? Paulson Adebo, who was
Yep.
great for them. So I like Arnold. I think Arnold's going to be a stud.
Yeah.
Another guy
No,
though
I like that
that
fit.
Kool-Aid McKinstry has just like fallen out of nowhere.
Yeah, he had the foot injury,
Yeah.
so he couldn't test or anything. Um, so I think he fell pretty much to like the end of the first round, and Arnold is really taken off.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy for quarters also to help themselves when they're playing with another supremely good
Yeah.
corner.
That's true.
Um, the Colts here are an interesting spot because don't like they don't need a ton, but the Colts also lack pretty much an X factor at every position.
Yes.
Like Quentin Nelson getting older, uh, quarterback right now, Richardson needs to just stay healthy. Like that's the big thing. Taylor has looked up and down. Uh, they don't have like a who is the best player on the team that you could just point to and be like, that's the guy. I guess it's Q.
Either him or Buckner,
So
probably.
like they have a lot of good players, but they have like for me almost no great players.
Yeah.
And when you're in that position, while I also think that you should probably swing for the fences, I think a Colts thing to do
Yeah.
is trade down.
Okay. I love it.
Uh, and I have a spot that I actually really like that I think is a little underrated. Uh, I want to trade with the Lions.
Okay. Love it.
Lions trade 29-61, get back 15, and then give him a second next year. That'll do it. That'll do it.
Give the Lions send a
Give the
second.
Lions send a second. Yep.
Cool.
I think that does
That's
this.
fair. Yeah, it's totally fair. Colts love their second round picks.
Colts get two extra second round picks.
Yep.
Uh I'm going with my guy here, Byron Murphy.
Love it.
Allegedly, Lions were interested in Christian Wilkins. As I said before, those really good teams that are trying to break through to that next level, you need that interior defensive line guy. I think Byron Murphy has that potential. I love that fit with the Lions. You put him in the middle where you have Hutch on the one side, Houston if he's coming back healthy. I think he fits in with that rotation with McNeil. I love that fit.
Yeah. I mean, like we said before, he's got a lot of hype. Who's the other big guy? Uh, Delon Sweat, Devondre Sweat. Him,
Yes,
him,
yeah,
him and Murphy were two big boys in the middle there. Yeah,
yes.
no. The Lions are this is their window, right? Like this is their window to
Yes.
win. They have to go
Well,
for
and
it.
they haven't really, they did the Carlton Davis deal, but that was mostly it. They got Zeitler to start, which I like, but I really wanted them to make one big signing or do one big move, considering like you were this close to the Super Bowl and you didn't get it, and
Yeah.
you had 50 plus million in cap, and like, you
Yeah,
like, you got for me, you have to do something. There's got to be a move to make.
I agree. Plus, um, I think sorry. I think corner could be an option here with the whole
Oh, a
Cam
1,000,000%.
Sutton stuff going on, right?
Yes, no, I think if Cam Sutton is if that's a thing, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, that is absolutely a fit. Cooper DeJean, like it's tough because he would play the Brian Branch role, so I don't love that fit, but I also do love him in that scheme of he is not afraid to hit. I don't know necessarily about Quinyon Mitchell's tackling. Cooper DeJean is a hitter.
And he could play, he can move to safety as well, DeJean.
Yeah.
I think that's an underrated part. Plus everyone's the whole joke about there being a white corner.
Yes. Make
So
him a white safety, and everybody they'll love him.
yeah, I know. But yeah, I like the move for the Lions. 16 with Seattle. I mean, quarterback could be an option here. Penix is on the board. They do have Geno Smith for another year, and they traded for Sam Howell, right? I forgot to mention that before. They traded good assets for Sam Howell, right? They gave up a third round pick for him. So and it was a third and a fifth. So they could see something there, maybe.
They
Um,
could. I think there's a chance they just don't think they're in a position to get a QB that they really like. If there's a guy that they like, they're just like, well, there's no way he's gonna. We're getting there.
yeah,
So let's just kind of run it with Geno, run it with Sam Howell, see what we do.
yeah, and I'm sure Gino will have the job, but I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of a competition, right? When they get into camp. So for me, right, I mean, the biggest problem with this team has always been offensive line. So I'm going to take Troy Fautanu. I don't even know how to say his last name.
Botnu, I believe it
Fautanu,
is. Botnu.
keeping him in the area, and he could play tackle, he could play guard. I think he's a little bit better as a guard because he is a little bit
Yeah,
smaller stature.
yeah.
But to have that valuable, the versatility is pretty valuable. And for the Seahawks, like we said, their offensive line is always a problem. Abraham Lucas is consistently hurt. So just shore it up and get a guy that can play two positions.
hmm Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's I think that's becoming a big thing with drafting offensive linemen also is like that guard tackle combo. Like how important is it one for, some of those middling guys that you don't know exactly, oh, is he going to make it as a tackle? No. Okay, well what's his capability as a guard then?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Uh 17 for Jacksonville. I'm running up Quinion Mitchell here. I think
Yeah.
that's the perfect fit. You throw him on the outside, you have two young corners. I love that. I don't see any more discussion. That's probably the number one corner on my board, going at 17 for an area of probably the most need for the Jags.
Yeah.
I They probably hit receiver later on in the draft, probably some line, but for the most part, mostly set roster. I would say defensive backfield, they need help.
Yeah. And they did get rid of Shaquille Griffin. So
Yes.
one of their top corners is on the way out. So, yeah, I mean, like we said, Quinion Mitchell has really flown up boards, probably CB1 to many people. And I think it's a great fit. I think it's a really good fit. Jaguars are a team. The AFC South has quickly become a good division again.
Oh yeah.
And Tennessee could maybe turn some heads. So 18 for me. For the Bengals, Jonah Williams is gone. They signed Trent Brown to a 1 year deal. However, as we remember, Trent Brown outside of the Patriots uniform was not very good. So
Yep.
I'm going to take J.C. Latham out of Alabama.
Oh, I love that pick for the Bengals. That
Yeah,
I would describe JC Latham as a wall.
I want to say he's 6'8", if I'm
Yeah.
correct.
He's
Six
huge.
six.
He is
Yeah,
huge. I think he has a huge wingspan is what it is, I think, or
yeah,
something like that. He is, I think, the most underrated tackle in this class.
yeah.
I
He,
would not be
stud.
surprised if he ends up being the best offensive lineman.
And he played at Alabama, so literally the peak of competition. And I think he could play either tackle spot. I think is
Mm-hmm.
Lyle Collins still there, or did they cut him?
I believe
I feel like they cut him.
it's a good question.
So either way, a tackle is a need. Um, so I just think the fit is kind of perfect for them, and they have to
Mm-hmm.
protect Burrow. I mean, another year with a season-ending injury. Like they just have to keep him upright. So whatever they can do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 1,000,000%. Was Brown? I don't even know if Orlando Brown was good last year.
I couldn't even tell you.
They didn't make the playoffs, so he
Yeah.
couldn't. He didn't have time to turn it on.
Yeah, no.
Um,
The Rams.
Rams here love going corners and defensive backs in the draft, but they usually do like to go later for that. They need a quarterback. I don't think there's anybody here to really develop as well.
They
Um,
seem more of like a second round, third round type of.
I think this would be a really good fit for a Rattler level
Yeah,
player, like who can just kind of sit for, a little bit.
I'm with you.
I am not as high on Jazar Newton as PFF is. So I
They're very
think
high.
if you're gonna give me the best player on the board that I think can fit into the Rams seamlessly, give me Cooper DeJean.
Okay. I like it.
You can just throw him all over on that defense. The Rams love defensive versatility. Um, I thought about Amarius Mims. If Latham is there, I take Latham. Um,
Yeah.
but with the injury concern, I would just feel more comfy going Cooper DeJean. Wiggins is possible too, but once again, I really think they like that versatility.
Yeah. He could play literally anywhere. I think Jerzon Newton could be an option here for a potential Donald replacement.
Hmm.
Obviously,
Byron Murphy, if he's there, would be
yes, Byron
huge.
Murphy would be a great fit as well. But they can, it does. This is their first time picking in the first round since I think 16.
Yeah. Yep.
Wild. I can't imagine like being a fan of a team and not having to watch the first round. That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
And still ending up usually with pretty decent rookies.
The famous Puka Nakua of last year. And yeah, God, so unfair. Okay, so pick 20, the old Steelers. I don't know how he played last year, so you'll have to fill me in, but I think let's pair the old Georgia tackles together with Mims and
I
Broderick
love it.
Jones.
I love
You know?
it. Oh, I love it.
How,
It's either I would go him or Wiggins. Broderick was good. Tomlin didn't want to start him to
yeah,
begin the year. Then he had to play right tackle for a little bit, which was weird. Um, then they switched him over to left. He played good. He was
yeah,
good. The team significantly improved running the ball when he was in the lineup. I love the men's fit.
yeah.
Um, he is actually number 17 on my big board. As long as he can stay healthy,
I like it.
that is a big thing for him. Is going to be the health.
I love it. Okay, pick 21, Miami. You can see the
Hmm.
fit.
I'm thinking Christian Wilkins replacement and Newton, but also Jalen Phillips coming off the Achilles. Do you
Yeah.
maybe try to get Verse?
Who is
You
there?
don't need a corner.
Because I'm trying to think, because they literally they signed Melvin Ingram last year for the playoff run to be a DN.
Yep, everybody was hurt. Everybody was
Who's
destroyed.
who's who's their
So
second edge? It's Phillips and someone.
Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel, yeah, that's true.
Uh, keep him in the area. Let's go Jared Verse. Uh, I don't. I'm not the biggest Jared Verse guy. I wish he had a little bit more bend. He consistently stays a little too upright for me as an edge. He wins with his hands and like pushing, which is great if he was a little bit bigger, because in the NFL, that's not going to work. He does still have very strong hands. He can be an impactful run defender if he wants to be. Um, yeah, he comes with some question marks, but he also comes with an ability to be a three down player if he develops.
The thing with Versus, I think he does have some game wrecking ability too. Like
Hmm.
he's a strong, powerful edge. Like you said, I think the speed could be a little bit lacking, but
Yeah,
he's a scary person. Very scary coming off the edge.
yeah,
Um, okay, so 22 with Philly. I really wanted to go corner here just because
yeah. I
it's
think you
like
run up Nate Wiggins.
see, but at the same time, I'm also thinking Jackson Powers Johnson for the Kelsey
Oh
replacement.
no, that's fair. Jackson Powers Johnson is an
Yeah,
immediate plug and play.
But I do think corner is going to be a big option here, just because I think Bradbury's probably on the way out. They had the whole Slay trade rumors that got
Well, and
taken
their
care of.
corners last year were just awful.
Yeah,
Just straight up the worst part of their team was that defensive secondary.
I agree. But I think there's still good enough corners on the market to sign, whereas you can get a young center in Jackson Powers Johnson to somehow try and fill the shoes of Jason Kelsey, who retired. So I think
Yeah,
it's an option. I think that'd be a good fit.
yeah. Um, and in this scenario, it breaks well for Minnesota. We're gonna go Michael Penix Jr.
There it is. Let's go.
I when my first thing when this trade was made for 23, everybody said, this is them trading up to then pick like get the two picks so they can get up for McCarthy. My first thought was 23 to me is right around where Penix should be going.
Yeah.
And I thought it wouldn't make sense for Penix to go to Miami, but I think the best offenses for him to go into would be Miami and Minnesota. Like they fit
Yeah.
so well for exactly what Washington asked him to do. Um, I think that would be a perfect fit for him in Minnesota. They already made the trade up, but they don't actually have to make the trade on draft day to get a guy. I really can't see them going in with Darnold as like the guy.
Yeah. I think maybe to start, he'll probably be in a camp battle.
But yeah, but to have nobody, like I
Yeah,
just
no,
can't
I
see them
agree.
bringing nobody else in.
You need somebody because
Yeah.
the thing with Darnold, it's a 1 year deal, right? Like he's going to be gone
Yep.
probably at the end of the
Yep.
year.
Yep.
So
hmm
yeah, I think at some point they're going to need to take a quarterback. And yeah, this very well could be what it's for, or like we said, it could be more ammunition to move up
Yeah.
if May or they want to make the move for Daniels.
hmm
Um, so 24 with Dallas, I'm a little
Sign nobody in free
yeah.
agency.
Eric Kendricks was the lone free agent signing.
They're only signing
They lost a lot of rotational guys in free
ton
agency.
of ton
The
of rotation, ton
the
of depth.
the big one was Biotish, the starting center.
Biotis.
He left to Washington. So, I mean, if Powers Johnson is on the board here, but I think the thing with Dallas is they're either like a what the fuck pick or like, damn, that's a really good pick. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking with Gallup gone, I'm thinking Brian Thomas here.
Oh yeah, that
I
would be
think
a
that could
good
be a
one.
very fun fit.
I think a lot of it is going to depend on how much they think Jalen Tolbert is going to step into a role.
Yeah.
Because you laugh, but here's the thing: the Cowboys also just when Dalton Schultz left, they said, "Well, yeah, we have Jake Ferguson," and everybody was like, "Oh, okay." And
Yeah.
then Jake Ferguson was really good.
He was
So
good.
like, I think there's a chance they could absolutely be wrong, but like I thought Tolbert was already kind of better than Gallup last year. I love the fit of Brian Thomas there. I think Brian Thomas was a guy that I think the Steelers could also target at 20. He really could go anywhere in that 15 plus range.
Yeah.
I For being as big as he is, I really do wish he was a little bit better at beating press coverage, considering he's 6'4".
Yeah.
Um, but I think there's five first round wide receivers, and he is, I think, the definitive number four after those first three guys.
Yeah. A lot of, I mean, I'm sure it helps. And like you said, you have a superstar receiver on the other side of you taking double teams and whatnot. There, yes. Love that. Garfield. Hey, love it. Um, you know, some people are very high on Brian Thomas. I mean, Chris Sims had him, I think, wide receiver two over Marvin.
I mean, he's huge. He is.
Yeah. So
He's. I do. We've talked about this before too. How does the discussion of having Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors on the same with Jaden Daniels throwing to them
yeah,
as an offense, does that impact or like you had Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like talent plays with talent. I mean,
true. But how much? Yeah, how much did that affect?
how much does it impact?
Yeah, no, I think that's very valid. Okay, Green Bay pick 25.
I actually love this fit of Graham Barton to Green Bay.
Okay.
That just seems Green Bay just pumps out these offensive linemen. They lose one, they draft one, they make him an all pro in 3 years. They send him out, and he gets a big contract. He's not as good, and then they just draft another guy.
Yeah, I think I mean Bakhtiari's gone. He
Yep.
he was cut. So tackle is gonna be a need. And I think that's a
I,
perfect fit.
I think Barton fits in like perfectly there. They're in that offensive line for the most part is in a pretty good spot, but with Bakhtiari leaving, I think they do have that left tackle spot, which Zach Thomas fit in very nicely at right tackle. I think Jenkins left this offseason.
I think so.
Yeah, but I mean they like I said, they just pump guys out through that line.
Yeah. 26 Tampa Bay. I have a trade. I have my first trade.
Oh,
And I've been thinking of this ever since Washington traded Sam Howell to get 4 picks from in rounds 2 and 3. And I'm gonna have him
mm-hmm,
trade up. So I'm gonna do I mean every team does this, right? Like if a top tackle is potentially falling, I'm gonna have him
mm-hmm.
trade 36 and 67 and a next year 2 for 26.
Six. Okay. So
So a 2 and a
so
3 and a
Tampa
next
moves
year
back
2.
10. Absolutely. Tampa moves back 10 spots
Yeah.
and they get like 3 picks. Yeah, yeah, they do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And for this, I'm gonna have him take Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma.
Mm,
I think with Washington, they let go of Charles Leno this offseason,
mm-hmm.
and they are in severe, desperate need for a offensive tackle, and they have yet to sign one. Adam Peters, in a press conference the other day, said he would feel comfortable with Trent Scott playing tackle if he had to, which former Steeler great Trent Scott. I just don't think that's the way you go. So
That's not the way
yeah,
to start a new quarterback off in your system.
exactly. So you have a boatload of picks. I know it sucks having to unload some of them, but get 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 a tackle that you can build around.
Mm,
I know it's a deep tackle class, but teams take tackles just for the fun of it. I mean, there
yeah.
there could be one you don't like there, so might as well just go up and get your guy. So I think that's an option for Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Looking at 27 for Arizona, I think I'm gonna run up Jazar Newton real quick.
Okay.
Uh, they've tried to get an interior defensive lineman for what I feel like has been my entire like adult lifehood. Like I
Yeah.
don't
After
who was the
Sua,
like
too, right?
yeah, yeah. Like I don't know who they've had in the middle there. That gives them a guy. I don't know the vast impactful defensive lineman they've had besides Reddick.
Calais Campbell, maybe.
That's the only
That's
one I can
probably
think
it.
of. Like,
Yeah.
yep.
5 years
So
ago.
just keep trying, just keep swinging.
Yeah.
You eventually, hopefully, you'll hit on one. But I like Newton in the middle there. I think Nate Wiggins is obviously definitely on the board there as well. But I would go with the big guy in the middle.
Yeah, I agree. I like that a lot. Buffalo at 28. I'm gonna look receiver here. Now that Gabe
Gabe
Davis is
Davis
gone,
left.
I'm gonna take Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, I think
But
I think this is the fifth receiver that is definitively a first round pick.
yeah, I feel like obviously Xavier Worthy's taken the hype out of Mitchell a bit just because of breaking the 40-yard dash record, but Mitchell is a dog, and I think he fits in a similar Gabe Davis type role, number 2 to Diggs. And if Diggs wants to go, hopefully Mitchell can go mold into that wide receiver one.
Yeah. We have Indy on the board now with that trade up for the Lions. Nate Wiggins is an option, but I'm gonna go Tyler Nubin. I
Yep.
really like that fit in Indy. A player that I mentioned before with Indy is Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
Tyler Nubin kind of gives you a lot of that same hitting ability, but he's not going to be the corner. He's going to be your second, deep safety. Um, Blackman's been good. There's a lot of up and down. As I've said, the Colts have a lot of decent to good players. They like to find those good players who can play all over. I think Nubin fits in perfectly with what they want.
Yes. Also important to note that Julian Blackman, their starting safety, did leave, or he is a free agent, and don't really think he's going to be coming back. He would have probably
But he's
signed
not.
back.
I thought I seen a thing the other day that they were back talking.
Maybe
Sad.
he has yet to sign. I know. I think he took a visit with the Giants. I'm pretty sure,
Pretty
but
sure Justin Valentinovic retweeted it, so
yeah,
not a reliable source.
probably. So pick 30 with the Ravens. I'm gonna have them take a corner. I'm gonna take Nate
Yeah,
Wiggins here.
yeah, absolutely.
Marlon Humphrey
Wiggins
needs some help.
Wiggins to me is the most interesting guy of like I think he can fit into a multitude of teams. And that's kind of why I think he can slip is or he could slip or go like higher because he's not that like scheme dependent guy where it's oh this team plays man, this guy's really good at man. I think Wiggins is such an athlete that he can do either or.
Yeah, I'm with you. And he played against the best of the best in SEC, or excuse me, ACC. I should say ACC, but yeah, I think it's a good fit.
With my final pick at 31, 49ers need corner help. They need offensive line help. I think they could also use some linebacker help with that Greenlaw injury.
Yeah.
A guy who I think is absolutely a starter in the middle if he can stay healthy. Peyton Wilson
Oh
out of
yeah.
North Carolina State. Injury concern, absolutely. But if he stays healthy, that guy is a starter. You put him in San Francisco, he stays healthy 2, 3 years from now. We're going to be saying, oh my God, how did San Francisco hit on an absolute another stud linebacker at the end
Yeah.
of the first round who's maybe a top five inside linebacker in the NFL?
Yeah. I'm with you. Again, the injuries are the big thing for him. Just got to
Yeah,
be healthy. That's the big one. Well, 5 minutes left here, and this last pick, it there's the whole Rashid Rice thing
I
now,
was going to say Rasheed Rice.
and that
They love their
could
speedy
prompt a
guys.
yeah,
Xavier Worthy's on the board.
yeah. At the
They
same
seem
time,
to love to go defense.
they did lose L'Jarius Sneed in a trade, so McDuffie is the lone man riding the ship. I'm trying to, I'm really trying to think here. I'm gonna take Kool-Aid here, just because I think they can make it work with any receiver, right? Like they still have
Mm.
Kelsey. I think they can make it work with any receiver. I mean, they took
They had
Hardman,
like
and he was like the
there's
for one immediately.
there's so many receivers in this later part too, like that they get part of the in they have those picks later on in the draft. So many receivers still on the board: Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin,
McConkey.
Keon Coleman, or McConkey. Like that, there are guys. So many
Yeah. So I mean, this is it right here. I mean,
finished product.
I guess they didn't grade our thing, but I think this is good, right? Like, I mean, you have
I I I love it.
we have the run of tackles here in the mid-teens. I mean, listen, again, like we said, the draft starts at Washington, and what they do, I think, is going to really change the landscape. Because if May is the pick, do teams trade up? Maybe not. If May's not the pick, Denver and Minnesota are going to be in a bidding war for probably number 4, and then the Patriots just say fuck all of you and just take May themselves. So
Yeah,
it's who knows, right? Like just who
yeah,
knows?
yeah, 1,000,000%. No, I think this is going to be a very interesting draft. A draft we haven't seen in a while with like just the QB talent and
Yeah.
so many teams also needing a quarterback. I think over the past couple of years we got into a habit where a couple teams were like, "Well, we have a guy that's, kind of average. Maybe we don't need a quarterback." And then we see every year when Patrick Mahomes wins the Super Bowl again, no, you need a really, really good quarterback usually to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Um, real quick before we go, do we see 6 quarterbacks taken? Does Knicks sneak into the end of round one?
I think Knicks I think there's a good chance Knicks goes, especially if the Broncos do not trade up. If the Broncos do not trade up or do not get a QB, their QB at 12, I think they trade back up at the end of the first round to get him.
Okay.
I think if he's still available, if him or Penix is available in the late 20s to early 30s, somebody will trade up to get one of those guys for the 5th year option.
Yes, I agree. Now that being said, too, for some reason the draft order changes in round two. So New England, I think, would have the second pick in the second round. So if they go Marvin and the Knicks is there in the second round, the Panthers need a pick, right? They're going to trade out of that first pick in the second round. I think Knicks to New England, second pick of the second round could be an
Yeah,
option. If you
absolutely.
fall
Penix if he's there.
panic, yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
no,
it, it is a
that
big.
absolutely makes sense.
But I mean, then there's just like the severe fall off, right? Like
Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000%.
I think the fun one's going to be like Joe Milton, right? Like who
Yeah,
takes
who
the
takes
fifth round
Milton,
flyer on him?
who's tested very well.
Yeah, definitely a good class if you're in need of a tackle, offensive line help, a receiver. Running back class is really poor, not really
Terribly poor.
game
Yeah.
changers. Tight end, you really only have Bowers. Defensive end and line isn't really that great. I
Hmm.
think we only have like four guys in here in here for
Hmm.
defensive line. So, which this could prompt more trade ups, right? If you're in a one
Hmm.
position of need. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Very offensive draft,
oh yeah,
especially that first round.
yeah. So, well, that's it for us. We'll be back with another mock 2.0. We'll maybe change some things up, see what happens in free agency and whatnot, and as we get closer. But Jesse, thank you, and hope all is well, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, brother.